Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 10 in the National Football League, recapping every single one of the matches in week number 10. This time I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. A little bit of luck for the Philadelphia Eagles as there's no Aaron Rodgers in this game. So if you're an Eagles fan, if you're an Eagles player, coach, you feel like this is a game that you must be able to get on the road. You're facing Seneca Wallace, and you didn't know, but you weren't going to be facing him either. You were going to be facing Scott Tolzien. So you really couldn't ask for it to fall in your favor any better than it did in this game. So if you're the Eagles, got to take advantage of the opportunity that has been laid there in front of you. And if you are the Green Bay Packers, you're just trying to steady this ship. You're just trying to stay above water. Again, you're playing in a very competitive NFC North division where a slip up here, a slip up there, and you could find yourself from first to third in the blink of an eye. So you got to find a way to stay above water in the absence of Aaron Rodgers. You already dropped a home divisional game versus the Bears on Monday Night Football. Now you got to try to find a way to right the ship against these Eagles because you go back on the road within the division here shortly against Detroit on Thanksgiving. And so you don't know when Rodgers is going to be back. You don't know what the timetable is there. Your bye week has already passed you by. And so you need to find a way to get a victory against a team that's under 500 in the Philadelphia Eagles, been playing some really good football. We know Nicholas Foles coming off of the 7-touchdown performance out in the Bay Area against the Oakland Raiders. And so if you're the Green Bay Packers, you want to cool this guy off. Go ahead and douse him with a bucket of water and absolutely cool him off in that frigid temperature of Lambeau Field. So let's talk about this football game and how it unfolded and how this outcome came to be in Lambeau Field. So 4-5 Philadelphia Eagles, 5-3 Green Bay Packers. Two Packers misplayed the football. That being Morgan Burnett, your all-world safety that you just gave a contract to in the offseason, and Tramon Williams, arguably your best corner, allowed Deshaun Jackson to score from 53 yards out at 7-0 Philadelphia. This is a tough break. You got two guys in perfect position, and again, they were beaten on this play. Deshaun Jackson got behind the defense, and Nicholas Foles laid it out there, but he didn't lay it out there far enough, and he gave the corner and the safety time to converge on this football. It was a meeting of the minds at the football, and the problem was everybody wanted it. It was just like the classic case of nobody calling off the other player or no one listening to the other player call them off in baseball. I got it. And instead of you backing off and letting the other guy catch it, you got it too. And all of a sudden you collide, nobody catches the football. Well, that's what happened here. Burnett went for the football. So did Tramon Williams. Both of them got their hands physically on the football. Neither one of them came up with it. It bounces into the air, a perfect carom for the waiting arms of Deshaun Jackson, who catches it and backpedals into the end zone for a 53-yard touchdown at 7-0. And that was all set up by a missed 53-yard field goal by Mason Crosby. So, and again, I said this in another video, it was a very windy Sunday in the National Football League. You look around the league in games that were played outside, very windy, and this was no exception in Lambeau, very windy, and Mason Crosby missed from 53. And again, you got to know your stadium, you got to know your kicker, you got to know the weather and all of the conditions and take that stuff into consideration. I think I understand where McCarthy was coming from here. I'm dealing with Seneca Wallace, and he didn't know this at the time, but I'm dealing with Scott Tolzien. I need to get all the points that I can to give my team the best chance to win. And so, not saying that if Aaron Rodgers was in the game, they don't kick this field goal. They still kick it. That's probably even more of a reason to kick it if Aaron Rodgers is in the game because you know whether you make it or miss it, we're scoring points. We're going to score points because Aaron Rodgers is my quarterback. That's why I said I don't know if I want to kick this one or not because if I miss, the consequences for missing could be far-reaching, being that I don't have a quarterback that I know for certain is going to put up 27 points in this game. I don't know if I can give the other team a short field. So, I don't know. His thinking was, let's just get points on the board. Mason can make this. Let's send him out there and see what happens. Seneca Wallace was injured on that possession, on that throw. that set them up. I think it was on the next possession, if I'm not mistaken. He throws a pass. He rolls out, throws a pass, and it strains his groin, I guess. Pulls something, pulls a muscle. I don't know what happens. He pulls up lame. I didn't even realize he had done it until the Packers came back on the field offensively, and I see Scott Tolzien out there, and I'm like, hey, what happened to Seneca Wallace? He didn't play that bad on the first two possessions of the game to get benched. I mean, he looked fine on the sidelines. He was just standing there, and then as soon as they put the pan shot on him, he starts trying to stretch out his groin, and then Pam Oliver reports, hey, he's got a groin problem right now. Don't know if he's coming back. He's questionable to return. He goes to the locker room. They check him out. He's not coming back. It's the Scott Tolzien show from here on out. Now we got to listen to, hey, who's your emergency quarterback in Green Bay? They're not telling us. We find out at halftime it's John Kuhn. You don't want to go there. So if you're the Packers, wow, you go from Aaron Rodgers to at least a credible backup in Seneca Wallace to Scott Tolzien. And the crazy part about Scott Tolzien, you listen to Troy Aikman, oh, these guys are high on him. So were the 49ers. No, they weren't. And I love when guys say that guys are really high on this player or that player and that, this player is really highly thought of. If he was so highly thought of, he would have been on somebody's active roster. This guy was in San Francisco for about 2 seasons, and they had an all-out competition for the backup quarterback position in San Francisco between Tolzien and Colt McCoy, and anybody else who wanted to throw their name in the hat, B.J. Daniels, anybody that wanted to throw their name in the hat got an opportunity in San Francisco, and Tolzien lost. And if they loved him that much, he would be the backup in San Francisco right now. If they loved him that much in Green Bay, he would have been the backup and not on the practice squad. So I'm not buying the whole, oh, these guys love him so much. He's on the practice squad for a reason. And you saw it in this football game. Tolzien to Jared Boykins for 39 yards, sets up. And Jared Boykins, to me, is really starting to emerge in Green Bay. And this is the thing the Packers do so well. They draft well, and they keep a fully stocked cabinet full of stuff. And you just never know when you need to go into that cabinet and pull out some of the stuff that you've stashed away for a rainy day. The only position that they lack stuff at is quarterback. Because they feel like we got Aaron Rodgers, we don't need any more stuff there. We're fine. We don't have to invest any money nor resources for a backup when we got a guy that's essentially an Iron Man for us that doesn't miss time. Well, now it's coming back to bite them in the tuchus. They don't have any stuff like they do at receiver. It just seems like tight end or receiver, guy goes down, and they just pull out a guy like Jared Boykins. No James Jones, no Randall Cobb, no problem. I got Jared Boykins. Don't worry about it. We can even let go of Terrence Ross because he fumbled, and we got Jared Boykins. We're fine. Got Jordy Nelson. We're good. So they even put out another guy, White. Never heard of him. I think he's a rookie. Comes in, plays solid football for him. So that's what the Packers do. But when you're late and you throw outside and you're late, you got to pay. Nothing great happens when you're late and you're outside. And to make matters worse, he threw it inside. And if you're going to throw something outside, it's got to be outside. Unless you got a defender that tells you that it needs to be back shoulder and inside. If the defender is inside, the ball needs to be outside. It was inside. And somebody forgot to tell Scott Tolzien that Jared Boykin is on your team, not Brandon Boykins that plays for the Eagles. So those names can get a little bit confusing, and you could think, hey, Boykins is on my team, right? I can throw. No, that's with an S. Boykin is on your team without the S. He threw it to Boykins that plays for the Eagles, and his first name is Brandon. It can get a little confusing. I think Tolzien got confused on the play. Thought he was throwing to Boykin. He threw it to Boykins. 77-yard interception return. Gets the Eagles in field goal range. More importantly, though, forget about the Eagles being in field goal range. What this interception did was it killed momentum, took the crowd out of the game, and probably the most importantly, took points off the scoreboard. You needed to get something, anything. You want a touchdown, you're that close. You want a touchdown, at least get a field goal. You got nothing because of that pick that was thrown by Scott Tolzien, picked off by Brandon Boykins, not Jared Boykin. So Eagles miss a field goal on the ensuing possession from 39 yards out. So you don't pay for it necessarily by points, but you pay for it because you don't get anything out of that whole possession. That was a beautiful drive down the field. Tozine was poised, he was calm and collect on that drive. But when it came to putting the ball in the end zone, he was anything but all those things I just mentioned. He turned it over, made a bad decision. And I don't know if the decision necessarily was bad as much as it was just a bad throw. Bad ball placement. He paid for it. They don't get anything out of that possession. Another impressive pack drive. Crosby missed again. Can't convert on 3rd and 1. You got to settle for a field goal. Mason Crosby misses again. Remember, he missed from 53 earlier in the game that set up that Deshaun Jackson 53-yard TD strike from Foles. Now he misses again. So you've had 3 scoring opportunities and you're 0 for 3 with your 3rd-string quarterback. How is it that you think you're going to win when you're 0 for 3 on scoring opportunities with a 3rd-string quarterback? 2 missed field goals and a pick in the end zone. You're not going to win in the National Football League with a 3rd-string quarterback when you're 0 for 3 on scoring opportunities. It's just not going to happen. A few Foles completions and a long, questionable personal foul on Matthews leads to an Eagles 25-yard field goal. It's 10-0. I didn't really buy the Matthews personal foul penalty. They said that he contacted Foles in the head. I don't think it was in the head, and I don't think it was late. I thought it was one of those bang-bang situations. He throws the football. Matthews is bearing down on him. As he releases it, he gets hit. I guess they tried to say he took 2 steps and hit him out. I wasn't buying it. Either way, Eagles get a field goal. It's 10-0. Crosby hits a field goal before the half on the strength of a big grab by Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson climbed the ladder, went up, snagged the football down, was tackled deep in Eagles territory. They end up getting a field goal out of the deal. It's 10-3. Finally, Mason Crosby is able to put it through the uprights. So now it's a different ball game, even though you've missed some opportunities in this first half. It's 10-3. You'll take it because you're still in the football game, but you've missed opportunities and probably should be leading this football game at the half instead of trailing by 7. So out of the half we go. 45-yard Riley Cooper touchdown. After a couple of Shady McCoy runs, including a 30-yarder, it's now 17-3. So now you go from 1 score away from tying the ball game up to you're down 2 touchdowns now. Now you're in the danger zone because you got a 3rd-string quarterback. You haven't been able to put the ball in the end zone all day, and you've missed several opportunities to score points in this game. Now you're in the danger zone. You shouldn't be alone. You better watch out. This could get ugly if you are the Green Bay Packers. Tozine throws an interception. Diving pick by DeMeco Ryans leads to Eagles field goal. It's 20-3. At this point now, I feel like the Eagles are out of this game. I feel like the Packers are out of this game. You haven't scored a touchdown all day. You got Scott Tolzien back there, and he isn't playing an egregious game, but you're not scoring points. You can go all the way up and down the field as many times as you like. If you're not getting points at the end of these drives, then what's the purpose? These are empty possessions, and you're missing field goals. You're throwing picks in the end zone. You just threw another pick. You're not going, and I said this earlier, you're not going to win in the National Football League. And I don't care who your quarterback is. Aaron Rodgers could have been in this game, and they could have been committing these same mistakes. You don't win in the league with missed opportunities to score points. You just don't. You got to put points on the scoreboard. Packers failed to do so in this game. Finally, though, Packs get a touchdown as a pass interference on Brandon Boykins led to the first career touchdown for tight end Brandon Bostic. Here we go again. No Jermichael Finley. He went out with the neck injury and the spinal cord thing against Cleveland. Haven't seen him since. So everybody gets bumped up a notch. Remember Tom Crabtree, a guy that used to be in heavy rotation in Green Bay at the tight end position. He's now in Tampa Bay. So you bump up Andrew Quarles, who I'm not really that big a fan of. He's solid. He's okay, but he's nothing special. You bump him up to starter, and you got Brandon Bostic coming off the bench, and you got a couple of other guys that you got out there. And just, I like Brandon Bostic. I actually like him better than Quarles. From what I saw in this game, he seems to be a big guy, athletic, can move. I feel like Quarles always is double catching the football, or it's 3rd and 8. You throw him a 4-yard pass. There's 4 yards there to be gained to pick up the first down, and it just seems like he doesn't do enough. He's not stretching the ball out. He's not making sure he doesn't step out of bounds. he's always not maximizing the most out of any given play. It just seems like, to me, Andrew Quarless is just average. And you get average results from Andrew Quarless too often. But I like this Bostic guy. And again, the Packers keep the cupboard stocked with stuff. And you never know when you got to go and reach in and grab something. And they got Bostic, and I like him. And he came through with a big catch here. It's 20-10 after his first career touchdown reception. And you're back in the football game, but you haven't really stopped the Eagles all that much in the second half. So you kind of ask yourself, can they get the stop when it's necessary to give them a chance? Well, here's your answer. Riley Cooper strikes again, 32 yards on a post corner route. Beautiful route. I mean, he sells the post, and Morgan Burnett bites down on the post. He goes back out to the corner, and essentially Burnett has to turn around and do a 180 to get back into play. By that time, Cooper is about 6 yards away from him. He strolls into the end zone. It's 27-10. At this point, I just can't see a team that has struggled to put points up all day finding a way to score 17 unanswered points and tie this football game, or score 21 points unanswered and win the game. Just don't see it happen. So, Packers move the ball, but once again settle for a field goal. And again, field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. Eagles are scoring touchdowns. How about you? I can answer that question for you. No, you're not scoring touchdowns. You're scoring field goals. And you've missed a couple, and you missed an opportunity to score earlier. Game is essentially over, but Packers get one more shot. They're not going down without a fight. Daniels and Williams combine on a sack, forced fumble on Foles. Packers take over on the Philly 13-yard line, but as they have virtually done all day long, they can't get it in the end zone. This time they go for it on fourth down. They have 4 opportunities to get this football in the end zone and cannot do so. They challenge a play of Jordy Nelson on fourth down with a catch. Looked like it could have been a catch. They ruled it not a catch on the field. So to overturn it, you were asking a lot of the officials. Actually, James Jones was open on the play on the slant. He frankly just missed him, and he made the much tougher throw to Jordy Nelson in the back of the end zone. It didn't yield a touchdown. That essentially spelled the end of the line for the Packers in this game. They lose 27-13. Eagles get it done. Big win for the Eagles on the road. It brings them to 5-5 on the season and puts them in a first place tie with the Cowboys, who went to New Orleans and had the pants beat off of them. And so all of a sudden now, if you're the Eagles, just 3 weeks ago, you were desperate. You were at a low in this season. You had lost at home to the Cowboys. You really didn't know what you were going to do next, what your next move was going to be. Vic was hurting. Foles just got a concussion. You didn't know what you were going to do. Foles comes back. You get a win at Oakland. You come back. You follow that up with a win at Green Bay. And now all is right in Philly. But this is the bad thing right now. This is the bad thing if you're the Eagles. Now you got to go back home. You can win on the road. You've proven that. You're 4-1 on the road this season. Or excuse me, you're 5-1 on the road this season. Your biggest problem is you're 0-4 at home. And so now you got 3 straight at home. So either you get out of this funk that you have at the link, or you continue your struggles and you watch your season go down the drain. These next 3 weeks going to be really telling if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, because you don't have a choice now. Either you put up or shut up at home, or your season is essentially done. If you drop 3 straight at home and extend this losing streak to 13 at home, if you go to 5-8 on the season, say bye-bye to your season, because it's done. So you better strap it up and find a way to get it done. Nicholas Foles, what can I say? 16 touchdowns, no interceptions this season. That's huge. I mean, that's big boy numbers. That's big boy football. Now, time for you to go home and see if you can do that against some quality opponents. We'll see if the Eagles can continue to play the way they've been playing, as they got to go home now and find a way to win. They got 3 straight games at home. And normally that's a good thing. But for the Eagles, that's not a good thing for them. But they need to turn it into a good thing and a positive for them on the season. If you're the Packers, what can I say? You just got to try to find a way to get a win without Aaron Rodgers. Don't know how long he's going to be out for. If you're a Packers fan, you're hoping that he can be back by at least Thanksgiving. That's a big game against Detroit. Now, who leads the division You got to have him back for that game. If you go into that game without Aaron Rodgers, your season is probably going to be over because you could easily lose next week. You could easily lose the week after that. And if you lose in that final week of November on Thanksgiving to the Detroit Lions, you go from 5-2 in a Monday night showdown with the Chicago Bears to what? That would be 5 straight losses. So that would be 5-7 on the season, all because of one man. But that's the value of a franchise QB. That's the value of the best player in the National Football League not suiting up for you on a Sunday and not having any insurance policy behind him. Look, your GM and your guys out there, Wolf and company, they do a bang-up job. I mean, they run it the way you're supposed to. But I talked about this in the offseason about teams undervaluing the backup quarterback. And it seems like the Packers are guilty, much like the Indianapolis Colts were for years, of undervaluing the backup quarterback position because you got a guy that just frankly doesn't miss a lot of game action. And so it's really not a necessity for you until it is. Now you don't have an adequate backup. Now you find yourself searching for someone to just get you to play even football to give you a shot on Sundays because your running game is still playing good football. Your defense, at times, doing enough for you to win, but if your offense isn't going to score points, you can't beat anybody. So, tough loss for the Packers. They're now 5-4 on the season, and they got to get out of this funk quick because the Bears lost, and they're 5-4 as well, but they beat you already. So, technically, they own the tiebreaker over you. So they're still in second place. And the Lions beat the Chicago Bears for the second time this year. So not only are they in sole possession of first place at 6-3 by themselves, they're also 3-0 in the division. So it's put up or shut up time for these Packers. You got to find a way to get it done because, like I said, in such a tight division, you went from first to third just like that. So now you got to start finding a way and look, get it done. I don't care how you do it, find a way to get it done. Philadelphia Eagles do exactly that. They're now 5-5 and in a first place tie with the Dallas Cowboys. So big win for the Eagles. Now they got to find a way to get it done at home. That's going to do it for this Week 10 installment of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. Whether it's big or small, if it happens in the NFL, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back as I continue to break down week number 10. Got a lot more games to break down. Don't want you to miss it. So come back as I continue to break down week number 10 in the National Football League.